Emerson.
What about Vicky Wade?
Yes, she came by taxi. But if you ask me, Miss Doris, she don't look much like a society girl.
Oh, never mind, Ella.
Is something the matter, Miss Doris?
Oh, no, I guess not.
You act sort of upset. Pardon my saying so, but...
Oh, it's because I'm all right.
Oh, I'm glad of that. Your mom's made such lovely plans for the weekend. I says to her, I says, Mrs. Harwood, if you ask me, I think that you...
Ella, can't you remember? A maid is expected to keep her opinions to herself.
I'm sorry, Miss Doris. Honest, I am. I guess I'm just a failure.
Oh, of course not. Mother and I have been quite satisfied with you.
This is my first job, and I'm trying real hard.
And you'll learn, Ella.
Oh, I hope so. My one flaming ambition is to learn to be an extra perfect maid. And I'm lucky to have a chance to work in a place like this.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Why, it's just like working in an old castle. When I heard you and your mom were coming out all the way from the West Coast just to live in this little mansion, I said to myself, I said, Ella Tucker, if you can get a job working for these people, you're on your way to a great career.
I hope you won't regret it.
What did you say, Miss Doris?
Nothing. Oh, what time are you to serve dinner?
8 o'clock sharp. Your mom said all the guests were sure to be here by then.
It's 6:30 now. That's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, and I better check up on things. I want everything to go off just right. If I can get through this weekend without making a mistake, then I'm a success. Oh, Doris, I've been looking for you.
Yes, Mother.
You should have been with me to welcome the guests. They'll be down presently.
Well, then I can welcome them in here.
Is that a letter?
Yes, nothing important.
Oh, Doris, this weekend's party is going to be simply sensational. Why, Mr. and Mrs. Bates said they wouldn't have missed it for the world. And Mr. Emerson said, I've been looking forward to this weekend for days. And Miss Wayne is here, Miss Vicky Wayne. You know, frankly, dear, I didn't think she was going to come.
Mother, I wish none of them had come.
Oh, Doris! What a thing to say! Why, you should see what's written up in the paper this morning.
Oh, did you notify the press?
Oh, yes! I certainly did. And Doris, we made it in the chit-chat column of the society section. Oh, dear. Listen to this, Doris. Mrs. Agnes Harwood, niece of the late Albert Stillwell, will entertain at a party this weekend at the Stillwell Estate on Forest Lake Road. Mrs. Harwood and her daughter, Miss Doris Harwood, moved here several months ago to take up residence at the estate. It had been vacant since the late owner's death. Mrs. Harwood's guests include Mr. and Mrs. John Bates, Mr. Carl Emerson, Miss Vicky Wayne, and Mr. William Patterson Vaughn. Now, what do you think about that, Doris?
But, Mother, other than Vicky Wayne, those people don't rate mention in the society column.
Oh, but we do, Doris. Why, Uncle Albert was a very prominent figure in the community. And since we're his only living relative, it's only natural that we'd be newsworthy.
But what would people say if they knew the truth? That you and I are almost broke, and that we're trying to find a buyer for this estate because we're skating on thin ice financially.
Oh, shh, darling. Why, do you want someone to hear you? Of course we're going to sell this place. And the people I have invited are our most likely prospects. Well, that's why I invited Mr. Bond. He's a very good real estate salesman, and I have a feeling he'll have the place sold before the weekend is through.
You always told me that Uncle Albert was a wealthy man. Yet when he died, all he left was this old pile of stone, one ugly statue, and all these gloomy furnishings.
Oh, yes, I did think he had a bit more than this. Oh, but his business dealings were terribly involved. And I really didn't pay pay that much attention to his affairs. But at least we can dispose of this place, Doris, and then...
Mother, I don't want you to sell this place.
Doris, what is the matter with you?
You mustn't let Mr. Vaughn talk anyone into a deal this weekend.
Doris, I'm selling this place to the very first buyer.
Oh, but Mother, if we could just wait for a while.
Doris, what would you have me do? After all, turn this house into a museum and pasture little cows on the front lawn?
Of course not.
After all, Doris, we do have to eat. And I, for one, do not intend to nibble on those old books and these tapestries.
I wish we'd never come here.
Oh, Doris, I know what's the matter with you. Why, you're still in love with that Neil Parker. That's why you had to leave the West Coast in the first place.
Neil Parker had nothing to do with it.
And from now on, you have nothing to do with Neil Parker. Why, I simply will not allow you to marry a man who writes detective stories. Thank heavens, he's hundreds of miles away, and Neil Parker couldn't raise enough money to get out of Los Angeles city limits.
Neil is a success, Mother, and you know it.
Oh, darling. How could anyone be a success who writes detective stories? No, I simply will not allow you to marry a man like that. Why, I'd rather marry a gangster.
Mother, dear, Neil doesn't want to marry you.
No, but if he married you, he would spend his time thinking of ways to get rid of his mother-in-law. I refuse to take any chances, Doris.
But all that has nothing to do with selling this estate.
Doris, this is my estate, and I'm going to sell it at the very first opportunity.
But Mother...
After all, Doris, I'm a very practical businesswoman. Why, didn't your father let me handle all of the money?
Oh, yes. And what did we end up with? 400 shares of stock in an invention that was supposed to make automobiles run on water instead of gasoline.
Oh, but it was a beautiful idea, Doris. And that salesman, he had such a delightful smile. Oh, I'll never forget him.
Ah, here you are.
Oh, Mr. Henderson, you can...
Hello, Doris.
Good evening, Carl.
Is your room satisfactory, Mr. Henderson?
Oh, it's perfect. In fact, I'm quite taken up with this place.
Oh, yes. I was just telling Doris that if it wasn't that it was such a large estate, I'd live here the rest of my life. But it hardly seems practical for a woman of my age to have such a large place. Don't you see?
Exactly, Mrs. Harwood, but frankly, I wish I owned this place.
Oh, and what would you do with it, Carl?
I'd get rid of that statue. I guess I'd turn it into a summer hotel. The location is excellent for that sort of thing.
Oh, yes. Why, the lake and the trees and such a large sky overhead.
But why should you be interested in operating a summer hotel? I thought you were an up-and-coming young bond salesman.
I am a bond salesman, that part is true, but I don't know too much about the up-and-coming part of it.
Oh, everyone says you're going to be a tremendous successful forever. And as you know, what every successful young man needs is an estate. Don't you think?
You mean you'd really consider selling, Mrs. Harwood?
Oh, I might. I just might, you understand. Dear Uncle Albert wouldn't want me to remain here. I'm certain of that.
And I'm not so certain.
What do you mean?
Oh, she didn't mean a thing. Have you met the other guests?
No, although from my window I saw a man and woman walking out on the terrace a few moments ago.
Oh, yes. That must have been John and Susan Bates. A charming couple. Susan is somewhat the retiring type, but a lovely personality once you get to know her.
Indeed.
And Miss Wayne is here. Miss Vicky Wayne.
Vicky Wayne?
Yes. Harris are very prominent in the community. Actually, I had invited all of them to come. But Mr. and Mrs. Wayne were called out of the city for the weekend. And so their daughter accepted the invitation.
You mean Vicky Wayne is in this house?
Oh, yes. She arrived just moments before you did. Although I really have never met her. I've had tea with her mother several times. She seems to be a lovely girl. You know, I think you're going to like her.
Well,
Is something the matter with her?
No, nothing at all.
Let's see if we can find John and Susan Bates. We can reach the terrace through the drawing room.
Are you coming, Doris?
No. She'll join us later.
Miss Doris!
Yes, Ella.
Someone's here to see ya. It's a man.
A man.
He came to the back entrance. He said I wasn't to tell you until you were alone.
I see. Well, where is
He's out in the kitchen. Do you want me to go get him?
he? Neil.
Oh, he isn't out in the kitchen. He's right here. You want to see him, Miss Doris?
Neil.
I guess you do.
Hello, darling.
Oh, Neil. Oh,
Surprised?
I have never been so happy to see anyone.
That goes double for me.
Oh, but what are you doing here?
You didn't think I could stay away from you always, did you? Los Angeles has been an empty desert since you left.
When did you come?
I arrived in the city this evening. The moment I located the address of the Stillwell estate, I grabbed a taxi and here I am.
Oh, then Mother hasn't seen you yet.
I should say not. I went to the back door and bribed your maid to keep quiet until she could get word to you. I left my bags in the kitchen.
Mother's going to be furious, Neil.
I rather expected that.
But you don't understand. She's entertaining with a house party over the weekend.
Which makes matters more complicated, I suppose.
Yes. But I am glad you come. I need you, Neil.
Anything the matter?
Yes. There's something you must know now. I want to explain before Mother finds you here.
Are you in trouble?
I don't know. But you've got to help me, Neil.
Of course, darling. You sound like the heroine in one of my detective stories.
Well, it's terribly upsetting and mysterious.
Well, mysteries are right down my alley.
You know why Mother and I came here, don't you?
Yes, your great-uncle Albert Stillwell died, leaving this estate to your mother. She had expected a rather large inheritance and was openly disappointed to find that only this house and grounds remained. Is that right?
Yes.
So in an effort to make the best of the situation, she moved here with the intent of finding a buyer for the place. So you packed your bags and left a gloomy and broken-hearted detective story writer alone on the West Coast.
During the past few months, Mother's made a number of contacts. She found several people who seemed to be interested in the mansion, so she's invited them out for the weekend. She even included her real estate agent.
All of which sounds entirely reasonable.
Mother's invited 4 persons in addition to Mr. Vaughn, the agent. One of them must have done it.
Done what?
Sent me this letter. It came by special delivery a half hour ago.
Disturbing news?
Just listen. Dear Miss Harwood, don't sell the old mansion. You will regret it. Take any steps to keep your mother from disposing of the estate. And it is signed, Albert Stillwell.
Albert Stillwell? But he is dead.
Of course.
See here, you don't believe in ghosts, do you?
You know I don't. But why was this letter written to me, and by whom?
Say, this is interesting. Someone is trying to frighten you.
But who would care whether we dispose of this estate or not, unless there's something we don't know.
Have you shown that letter to your mother?
No. I tried to make her promise she wouldn't sell, not just now anyway, but she refused to listen.
Who are the guests?
Well, there's Carl Emerson, a bond salesman, a Mr. and Mrs. Bates, who have entertained Mother and me several times, and Vicky Wayne, the daughter of a wealthy business executive.
And they've all shown an interest in the estate?
Directly or indirectly. Mr. Bates is the only one who's actually talked with Mother about buying. Carl Emerson and Vicky Wayne's parents are doubtful prospects.
Are Miss Wayne's parents here?
No, they had other plans for the weekend. I can't understand why Vicky came. Mother and I had never even met her before.
Perhaps the Waynes are better prospects than you think.
I don't know what to think, Neil. This letter has frightened me.
Supposing I do a bit of investigating this weekend?
Which means you'll stay.
With pleasure.
Oh.
Here, let me see that letter.
Oh, Mother won't be exactly gracious, Neil.
I believe I can handle your, charming mother.
You know, I feel better already.
Leave everything to me, darling. Perhaps I can uncover a good story.
Always thinking in terms of your work, aren't you?
Why not, if I'm going to marry the sweetest girl in the world?
Are you?
In spite of her mother.
I'll tell Ella to take your bags upstairs. Oh, and if Mother should walk in.
Then she and I shall have a pleasant little family chat.
Ah, good evening.
Oh, hello.
Are you one of Mrs. Harwood's guests?
Yes, an unexpected one, you might say. I'm Neil Parker.
Glad to know you, Mr. Parker. Bates is my name, John Bates. And this is my wife.
It's a pleasure, Mrs. Bates.
Thank you. We've been out on the terrace with Mrs. Harwood and Mr. Emerson, but John insisted that we come in. And it was so beautiful out there in the moonlight.
We must think of your throat, Susan dear.
Yes, John.
Is your home around here, Mr. Parker?
No, I live in Los Angeles.
Indeed.
I'm sure Agnes will be overjoyed when she learns you've arrived for a visit.
I wouldn't quite say that.
Well, shall I call her?
Susan, never mind.
Yes, John.
That won't be necessary, Mrs. Bates. I've already talked with Doris.
Oh, a fine girl, by the way. Do you know her well?
Quite well.
I suspected as much. I can imagine she was delighted to see you.
Oh, what a lovely party this is going to be. You haven't met the other guests, Mr. Parker?
No, although I'm looking forward to that opportunity. This is an interesting old house, isn't it?
Oh, most interesting. You know, I've had my eye on this place for a long time.
John said that he always hoped that someday he could buy it. Why, even when he was the assistant manager of the Avenue Jewelry Shop in
Susan?
I'm sorry, John.
Susan still insists on discussing our early days. Personally, I don't care to think about the lean years.
No, I suppose not.
Mrs. Harwood is desirous of selling this place.
So Doris tells me.
Susan has always wanted an estate.
But, John, you were the one who
Of
wanted...
course you have, Susan. I'm rather hoping Mrs. Harwood and I can make a deal shortly, although nothing is settled, of course.
This is a rather large house for you and Mrs. Bates.
Of course, we need a staff of servants. Frankly, I don't see how Mrs. Harwood manages. She only has one maid.
Agnes says she doesn't care for too much hired help around her. She prefers to do things herself. Why, I've always said all of my own work...
Susan?
I'm sorry, John.
Susan means that when we were first married, we had to watch every penny. But that was years ago.
Good evening, Mrs. Harwood.
Neil Parker.
Rather a surprise, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Parker said you weren't expecting him, Agnes, but I told him you would be overjoyed.
Oh, it is. We love to have you. When did you arrive, Neil?
A few minutes ago. Doris was gracious enough to ask me to stay the weekend. She insisted you'd be delighted.
Oh, yes. Yes. You've met John and Susan Bates?
Oh, yes, we have had a most pleasant little visit.
Oh, Susan dear, I think you should join Mr. Emerson in the drawing room. He's viewing Uncle Albert's collection of oil paintings.
Oh, but Agnes, John and I have already seen them.
Oh, well then you'll want to see them again. You simply cannot enjoy an oil painting until you've seen it hundreds of times.
Come on, Susan.
But we'll see you later, Mr. Parker.
Undoubtedly, Mrs. Bates.
Well,
I trust this hasn't upset you, Mrs. Harwood.
if you came here to see my daughter,
Which I did and which I have.
oh, you must know I do not approve of you.
You mean you don't approve of my work?
I do not believe that writing detective stories is an honorable way to make a living. Why, what if that was all any man in this country ever did?
Well, then the competition would be rather discouraging.
All you think of is crime. And then you want to marry my daughter.
Mrs. Harwood, I'm not such a bad sort. You've never tried to know me.
Oh, and I don't want to know you. I'd probably wake up and find myself murdered in my own bed.
Now, see here.
Neil, you must leave at once.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Harwood. I'm saying.
Oh, sir, I'll have you right out.
You wouldn't do that, my sweet lady. Not with a house full of guests. Think of the embarrassing explanations.
You can't talk to me like this. I'm the mistress of this estate.
I'm not so sure about that. Come, let's be friends, shan't we? I assure you I shall be on my best behavior.
Dear, why did you have to arrive today at the fall time?
I think it's rather fortunate that I did.
Oh, I can't imagine why.
Perhaps before the weekend is over, we will all be wiser.
Oh, I couldn't possibly be wiser than I am at this very minute.
What a pity.
I don't like the way you said that, young man.
Oh, you've seen Neil, Mother.
I regret to say I'm looking at him this very minute.
But your mother was good enough to permit me to stay, Dora.
If it wasn't for causing a most unpleasant situation, I would exert my authority.
Well, the guests will enjoy Neil's company, Mother.
Now, you just remember this, young man. If I catch you trying to charm my daughter, why, I'm...
Well?
I'll send a protest to the president. Oh, yes, Ella.
Mr. William Patterson Vaughn has just arrived. He asked me to announce him.
Oh, tell him to come in.
This way, please.
Mr. Vaughn is Mother's real estate agent.
Oh, yes, I'd like to meet him.
Mrs. Harwood. Oh, the Vaughn Rapid Move Realty Company is always at your service, madam. And Miss Harwood, so delightful to see you again.
Oh, Mr. Vaughn! I'd like you to meet Mr. Parker and other guests.
Mr. Parker, this is indeed an honor. Have a card. For house or farm or cozy nook, deal with Vaughn, he's no crook.
Thank you.
Where are your bags, Mr. Vaughn?
I left it in the hall.
Will you see that Mr. Vaughn's luggage is carried up, Ella?
Yes, Mrs. Harwood.
Are you looking for a house, Mr. Parker?
No, not at present, I regret to say.
Oh, that is regrettable. Are you married?
Not yet.
Ah, but you will be soon. Ah, it's just the place for you. A little honeymoon cottage with roses and the morning glory.
I'll take you to your room, Neil.
Oh, an excellent idea.
You'll excuse me, Mrs. Harwood.
Pleasure.
Isn't Mr. Parker one of the prospects?
Oh, no. He's just a nobody. Simply nobody.
But the other guests?
Oh, they have all arrived.
I shall do my best to sell the house this weekend. When a deal is getting hot, Vaughn is always on the spot.
Yes. And Mr. Bates is definitely interested in the place, although I fear he doesn't have much cash. And then there's Miss Wayne. Miss Vicky Wayne. Do you know her?
No, I'm afraid I haven't had that pleasure.
Oh, well, her mother asked me several months ago if I'd consider selling the estate. Oh, the Waynes are rolling in money.
Then I shall see Mrs. Wayne at once.
Oh, you can't. She isn't here.
daughter.
Oh, I'm always delighted to talk to anyone's daughter.
Mr. Emerson is a likely prospect.
Mr. Emerson?
Yes, Carl Emerson. He sells stocks and bonds and things like that. Although, for the life of me, I really don't know what he wants this place. That's no concern now of mine, is it? I think you should talk to him first.
Oh, yes. Whenever there's a likely sale, Vaughn is always on the trail.
Oh,
Oh, Mr. Bates, I'm glad to meet my very good friend, Mr. Vaughn.
Indeed, a pleasure, sir.
And Mrs. Bates.
A rare privilege, ma'am.
Mr. Vaughn will be with us over the weekend.
Indeed, I will. Here, have a card.
thank you.
If finest farms or homes you crave, Vaughn will show them, you will rave.
Has Miss Wayne come down here?
John and I haven't seen her.
Oh, well, excuse me, please. I better run along and see what's keeping her. Oh, goodness. Maybe she couldn't find her way down the stairs.
So, you're a real estate agent, Mr. Vaughn.
Vaughn's Rapid Move Realty Company.
You are handling this estate, I suppose.
And who else but William Patterson Vaughn could be entrusted with such an important piece of property? Oh, by the way, have you seen a Mr. Emerson?
Oh, I believe he is in the drawing room.
Ah, my dear lady, your courteous reply is most appreciated. Oh, and if you excuse me, I will go talk with the young man.
I hope Carl Emerson buys this place.
Susan!
I do, I tell you. You are overcoming here, John.
Susan!
After all, you have no proof. This is a dangerous gamble. I don't want to stay here.
We're staying, both of us. It's our one chance, and I'm going to make the most of it if I have to.
John, that's what frightens me. You go to any extreme to learn the truth, and there's trouble ahead. I feel it.
You listen to me. This is my little affair, and I'm going through with it. If you try to upset my plans...
But, John...
And another thing, keep your mouth shut about where I've worked. Is that clear?
Yes, John. Can I be of service?
Why, no, I think not, young lady.
Well, if you need anything, just let me know. Mrs. Harwood says I was to make sure all the guests were comfortable.
That was most awful of Mrs. Harwood. Come, Susan, dear.
Yes, John.
Betty!
Oh, hello, baby.
Betty, you shouldn't have come in here.
Yeah, why not? Don't I do all Mrs. Harwood's repair work around here?
Oh, but Betty, this house is full of swell guests. Some of them are likely to walk in here any minute.
Oh, just tell them I'm checking up on the heating system or something.
Oh, well, we won't need no heating system if Mrs. Harwood finds you. She'll find out.
Yeah, Mrs. Harwood, Mrs. Harwood. That's all I ever hear from you.
Mrs. Harwood is a fine lady. Didn't she give me this job?
Yeah, that's what I don't like. Listen, now, are you going to marry me or what?
No, Betty.
I'm giving you one more chance to say yes already.
And you're giving yourself one more chance to be refused already.
You are the most obstinate female I ever ran across. I don't even know why I'm in love with you.
Betty, you're a real nice guy, but...
Did I make enough for you to support a wife, don't I? I've asked you 113 times to give up this job and marry me. And what answer do I always get?
You know good well I want to be a career girl. This is my one big chance to learn to be a super colossal maid. And I would turn it down to marry the Army and the Navy combined.
Yeah, sometimes you make me so mad I feel like punching somebody in the nose.
Well, I got a job and I'm keeping it. And don't you punch me, you big fuckalo.
Listen, Noah. This is a dangerous place.
What makes you say that?
Nobody is safe around here. If you don't get out of here, you're gonna be sorry. Why, I bet this place is even haunted.
Oh, you can't scare me. I wish you'd just give it up. I was cut out to be a career girl, not a homebody. And I wish you'd quit bothering me.
You make me so mad, I wish I could.
No, Betty! Someone's coming.
Wait a minute!
And make it snappy, you big bum, before I forget I'm a responsible
accused as a study. I believe. At least that's what his attorneys told me. Just sit down.
Thank you. You know, the mansion is most impressive.
I'm so glad that you could come this way. I've met your mother several times, but never had the privilege of knowing you.
Well, Mother regretted that she had to refuse your weekend invitation, but she and Father had already made plans for the weekend.
Oh, well, I'm so delighted that you could be here.
Perhaps it was fortunate for all of us.
Have you met the other guests?
Most of them, I think. You introduced me to a Mr. and Mrs. Bates.
Oh, yes, a lovely couple.
And a Mr. Vaughn.
Oh, yes, he owns a large real estate company.
Yes, he gave me his card.
Oh, such a refreshing personality, don't you think?
Well, at least unusual. Oh, and your daughter introduced me to a Mr. Parker.
Oh, yes. Oh, he's just a friend, a passing friend. No one you would find interesting.
Oh, I find all of your guests interesting, Mrs. Harwood.
Oh, Mr. Emerson, I'd like you to meet Miss Wayne, Miss Becky Wayne.
Wayne.
Delighted, Mr. Emerson.
Have you two met before?
No, I'm certain we haven't.
Oh, no, of course not. I'm delighted to know you, Mr. Emerson.
Are you?
Perhaps you would enjoy seeing Uncle Albert's collection of oil paintings.
By all means, by all means.
Would you like to join us, Mr. Emerson?
Yes, I would.
Well, what do you think of our guests?
It's a bit early to draw conclusions.
We've met them all, except for Carl Emerson.
Yes, a rather odd assortment to be thrown together for a weekend.
Do you think one of them wrote me that letter?
It's quite possible. Does anyone else know your mother wants to sell the estate?
Well, I'm not certain. A notice of the party appeared in the society section of the morning paper, but of course no mention was made of Mother's reason for entertaining.
Morning paper. That's interesting.
If only we knew more about these people. After all, we are merely acquaintances.
I have an idea. Yes, it could prove to be an enlightening experiment.
What do you mean?
You'll understand shortly, but remember you must approve of anything I suggest.
Ah, Mr. Parker. A wonderful old home, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
I hope to inspect the house thoroughly before I leave.
Oh, did Neil tell you that he writes detective stories, Mr. Bates?
Detective stories? No, he didn't.
Did you come here to find a plot, Mr. Parker?
Not at all. I came here to find Doris.
Oh, yes, of course.
Doris, what time is dinner?
At 8, I believe.
That's almost an hour. I'm thinking perhaps we'd have time for a little game.
Game?
If we could interest the others.
Oh, yes. I'll see if I can find them.
Oh, they are in the drawing room.
What sort of game, Mr. Parker?
Mother, will you bring the guests in here? We're going to play a game.
Nothing really strenuous, is it?
More chilling than strenuous.
Chilling? Oh, goodness.
Ella!
Yes, Mr. Parker.
Ella, would you bring me a deck of playing cards, please?
Playing cards? Yes, sir.
Oh, a card game. I'm particularly fond of bridge.
Sorry, Mrs. Bates, we're not playing bridge.
What's this about a game?
I thought we'd all enjoy a bit of recreation before dinner.
Oh, yes! When the world is down the lane, leave it to Vaughn to play the game.
Something that you have worked up, Neil.
It was my idea, if that's what you mean.
Then I'm certain I shan't like it.
Oh, but Mother, you don't even know what it is. None of us do.
This might be an opportune time to play the game of truth.
And why do you say that?
You're playing cards, Mr. Parker.
Thank you, Ella.
I'm sorry, but I don't play bridge, Mr. Parker.
Oh, Mr. Parker said it wasn't bridge, Miss Wayne.
Oh?
No, it's a game called Murder.
Murder?
Oh, I should have known. Well, that sounds exciting. It sounds blood-curdling to me, and exactly the sort of game that Neil Parker would think of. Well, I refuse to be murdered.
like Neil explain, Mother.
Here's the idea. I have 7 cards in my hand. Each of you are to select one, sight unseen. The person who draws the ace of spades is to be the murderer.
Oh, dear me.
Of course, no one will know who has selected that card. The lights will then be turned out, which will give the murderer a chance to move at will.
Neil, you don't mean the murderer's actually expected to...
To kill someone? Of course not. But he will select a victim, slip up behind the unlucky man or woman, and run his finger across the victim's throat like this. That constitutes a murder. The victim must immediately fall to the floor, the lights will then be turned on, and the detective must question each person in an effort to determine the guilty individual.
I'm really going to enjoy this.
But who is to be the detective?
I'll take that part for the first game.
Oh, yes, you would. Well, I refuse to play.
Me too. I have a weak liver.
Nonsense. We're all going to take part.
Now, you listen to me.
Mother, you should be ashamed. If anyone refuses to play, I'll accuse him of having a guilty conscience.
Exactly.
Oh, dear. Most games are considered a jolly lark. But who wants to be murdered in the dark?
You may select the first card, Doris.
All right.
Mr. Vaughn? Mrs. Harwood. Ladies. Now, one of you has selected the ace of spades. The holder of that card, you understand, is to be the murderer. He may have all the time he desires to track down his victim.
Oh, I can't stand this.
Each of you may move to any part of the house you wish. I will wait on the terrace until I hear a scream. That will indicate that a murder has been committed.
Oh, dear.
Ella, would you turn out all the lights in the house, please?
What?
Do as Mr. Parker says, Ella.
Yes, Miss Doris.
Doris, will you get the lamp?
Yes, miss.
Why, this is preposterous. And if anybody tries to murder me, then you get
Pick the ace of spades, did you, Mrs. Harwood?
Oh, no, I certainly did not. And if you want to know what I think about it, I just think...
Never mind, Mother.
Does everyone understand?
Yes, we understand.
I understand too much. Couldn't we just play a nice quiet game of old maid?
It's too late now, Mr. Vaughn.
I'll wait on the terrace. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Can't believe I'm playing this stupid game.
Not yet. Give the murderer a chance to escape.
Oh, no, that except me.
Everybody ready? I'm turning on the lights.
Oh, I'll never play this game again as long as I live. Why, it's a disgrace to this community. It's a disgrace to the state. It's a disgrace to the whole nation.
Wait. Didn't the scream come from this room?
Well, of course it did. But if you think that I've never been so frightened in my life. Where is she?
Mrs. Spates, did you hear a scream?
Certainly I did. It was Vicki Wayne, and she was in this room. But where is she now?
I don't know.
What a thrilling game.
Doris, didn't I make it clear that the victim was to fall in the exact spot where the murder took place?
Yes, why? Miss Wayne screamed, and she was in this room. Now she has disappeared.
No, then she's been murdered. Oh, I was afraid of this. This is what I expected to happen.
Mother, be quiet.
All right, Mr. Detective. Are you ready to question us?
Oh, how can he? The body is gone.
What's
she isn't here.
Maybe she wasn't murdered in this room.
But we're certain the murder took place here in the library.
Where is the body? Answer me, Miss Wayne! Dead or alive? Answer me!
Maybe she just didn't understand the rules.
I don't know.
Oh, Mr. Vaughn, have you seen Miss Wayne?
I haven't seen anybody.
Neil, you don't think something has happened?
Oh, everything's happened. And it's all your fault, Neil Parker. You and your stupid
Just
face.
a minute. Is everyone here with the exception of Miss Wayne?
Yes.
Then who selected the ace of spades?
I did.
Oh, well, then, Mr. Vaughn, what did you do with her? Where is she?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I was hiding in the hall closet. I've got loose arteries, you know.
You mean you didn't commit a murder?
No, I was hiding from myself. When I heard a scream, I covered my head with somebody's raincoat. And I stayed right where I was.
Neil?
This is serious. I was upstairs, but I distinctly heard Miss Wayne.
Oh, what a night instead. Oh, I'm a quiet.
She's played a joke on us.
I'm not so sure about that. We'd better investigate. Mr. Bates, will you look around the floor? Emerson, would you search upstairs, please?
Sure thing.
I'm going to look in the basement. Doris, will you show me how to get down there?
Yes.
Oh, no, Doris, no. Don't you leave this room. There's a murder at large. Mrs. Harwood? Oh, yes, Ella, have you seen Miss Wayne?
I can't make it out, ma'am. A young lady has just arrived who says that she's Vicky Wayne.
What?
Vicky Wayne?
Just arrived.
Which is Mrs. Harwood?
Mrs.
Mrs. Harwood, I'm Vicky Wayne. I know I'm terribly late, but...
Oh, but you can't be Vicky Wayne.
But
Do
she
you-
is Vicky Wayne.
Carl? Carl,
Hello, Vicky.
you're the last person I expected to find here.
I wonder.
Oh, but what about the other Miss Wayne? Where's the other Miss Wayne?
Emerson, are you telling the truth? Is this young woman Vicky Wayne?
Yes.
Of course I am. What makes you think I'm not?
Miss Wayne, someone is impersonating you. She came here this evening. She claims she was Vicky Wayne.
And now she's disappeared into thin air, just like a soap bubble.
Why, I can't understand this.
Emerson, if you're acquainted with Miss Wayne, then you knew the other girl was an imposter. Well, what about it?
I thought something was up, so I kept my mouth shut.
But why should anyone want to impersonate me?
And now she's been murdered.
What?
Murdered.
Miss Wayne, had you planned on spending the weekend here? Well?
No. That is, I hadn't planned to come at first. Then something made me change my plans at the last moment.
I see. Well, evidently this girl, whoever she is, thought you weren't coming, so attempted to take your place.
Why, this is terrifying.
Then she must have known that neither Mother nor I had ever met Miss Wayne.
But what does it all mean?
That's just what I intend to find out.
The light!
No one was here, that's
Who did
it.
that? Oh!
Don't sell this mansion, I'm watching you. Yes, Albert Stillwell is watching you.
Neil,
Well, I didn't hear you. Come in.
who are the others?
Most of them went to their room shortly after dinner.
Oh, what a dinner it was. The very atmosphere was charged with suspense. I've never been so uncomfortable in my life.
Yes, it was a bit unpleasant, wasn't it?
Why did you insist that we go through the meal exactly as though nothing had happened?
I wanted to study the reaction of the guests.
I believe that was why you suggested we play murder, too.
Yes, I had the idea that whoever wrote you that note might attempt to warn you again in the darkness.
Then your little plan was an instant success.
I admit it didn't go quite as I'd anticipated.
I should hope not. Any trace of the girl?
Vicky Wayne's imposter? No. I've searched the house, but it's a rather large place, you know.
Then you think she's still in the mansion?
It's quite possible.
Oh, but Neil, that voice in the dark.
Yes, I can't make that out. Doris, there's something behind all this. You and your mother have stirred up a disagreeable situation. I'm thankful I'm here with you.
So am I.
How is your mother?
Completely unnerved. She refuses to leave her room.
Perhaps it's just as well. She doesn't actually believe that was old Stillwell's voice, does she?
I'm not certain what Mother believes, but she's frightened, Neil, horribly frightened.
What do you know about your great-uncle Albert?
Well, not much. Years ago, when Mother was a girl, she and Albert quarreled.
What was the trouble?
I don't know. Mother's parents died when she was a child, so Albert took Mother to raise, and he thought the world of her.
And after the quarrel?
She went to the West Coast. It was there she met my father.
Did she ever see him alive again?
No, I don't believe she ever even heard from him again. So you can understand why that voice terrified her.
So in other words, she knew nothing of Stillwell's affairs in later years.
Nothing.
Then it's quite possible. Come in.
Neil, be careful. Neil?
There's no one here. Look at this.
What is it?
A note. Our visitor must have left it.
What does it say?
Must talk with you alone, 10:30 in the library. And it's signed Helen Freeland.
Helen Freeland. Who's she?
I have the slightest idea. Unless, yes, perhaps that's it.
What do you mean?
She must be our friend who disappeared tonight.
The girl who poses Vicky Wayne? Neil, how do you know?
Well, I don't, of course, but it's quite possible.
Then she's still here.
Yes. Does that name mean anything to you?
Helen Freeland? No.
Well, perhaps we're beginning to get to the bottom of all this.
How much time do you have?
Before my appointment? About 25 minutes. But I wanted to do a bit of investigating before then.
I understand. Oh, what was that?
Oh, it's you! Get in there!
Oh, Mr. Bond.
Mr. Bond, were you planning on leaving our Pleasantville party?
I can't stay. I've got pancreas trouble, you know. Oh, I've never spent such a horrible evening in my life.
Mr. Bond was attempting to slip out the rear entrance.
Ah, did you come down the back stairs?
Yes, I didn't want to disturb anybody.
Disturb anybody?
And he almost succeeded until he backed into a vase.
Look, I'm not strong, Mr. Parker. I'm a nervous man.
Put down that bag.
Yes, sir.
Where is Ella?
Upstairs, I guess.
Why did you write me that note?
What note?
The one you slipped under the door.
I didn't write any note. I didn't slip anything under the door. I'm just a poor real estate agent. Oh, did I give you my card?
Never mind, Bond. Are you certain you didn't write me that note?
I swear I didn't. I don't know anything about it. You gotta believe me, Mr. Parker. I'm a sick man.
I believe you. Did you see anyone as you attempted to leave?
No, sir, not a soul.
Did you hear anything?
No, wait, yes. Yes. The room in there was dark when I entered, and there was a noise, like someone slipping out another door.
Do you think he's telling the truth?
Yes, he's too frightened to lie.
No, then you let me leave, won't you?
No one is leaving here tonight.
Please, Mr. Parker.
You heard me, Bond.
But I don't want to sell this house. Anyway, buy a place that's haunted.
You're going back to your room.
Oh,
Miss Harwood and I will escort you. Let's go. Come on, Doris.
oh, I wish I'd never seen this place.
Let's go.
And what do you think of that, Susan dear?
Well, I'm certain Mr. Vaughn is innocent.
Vaughn? Of course. I'm not talking about him. I'm speaking of the note young Parker received.
You shouldn't have been listening, John.
That's why I'm here. Helen Freeland. Helen Freeland. The name's strangely familiar, but I don't quite remember.
I'm frightened, John. I want to leave.
My dear lady, we're not leaving now. My hunch was correct. I think we're on the right track at last.
John, I don't like this. I never have.
Undoubtedly, someone else knows or suspects what I do. We're going to have to work fast.
I hate this sort of thing.
You won't after I'm successful.
Why don't you get a job like other men? Any job.
I have a job. Now.
Well, do you think I'm proud of a husband who is speaking to somebody?
What have I done that isn't entirely respectable?
But it's necessary.
Susan!
Oh, I thought everyone had gone to bed.
Ah, Miss Wayne.
It's a frightful situation, isn't it?
Yes. And I don't want to stay here.
Susan?
Neither do I, but I can't leave until I find out more about that other girl.
Why would anyone want to impersonate you, Miss Wayne?
I can't imagine. I suppose it's silly, but I'm afraid.
Well, I'm sure it's nothing alarming. Doubtless some young woman thought she could spend a pleasant weekend in your place.
But how did she discover that I hadn't planned to accept this invitation? And how did she know I'd never met Mrs. Harwood and her daughter?
It is strange.
And now she's disappeared. If I could see her just once.
By the way, Miss Wayne, how about a game of bridge? I'm certain none of us feel like sleeping.
No, thank you.
Mr. Emerson said he'd join us if we could pick up a fourth.
Carl, Mr. Emerson said that?
Yes, he'll be down shortly.
Why, yes, I believe I would enjoy a game.
So would I. Anything to take my mind off what has happened, or what might happen.
Shall we play in the drawing room? I saw a table in there.
Very well.
Oh, John always criticizes my bidding this way, but he really doesn't mean the things he says.
Susan dear, I consider you to be the sweetest, most understanding wife a man could desire.
Where is honey? Where is it? Whoa! That thing ugly or what? Kinda looks like my cousin Vinny. Yo, Vinny, what's happening? Where's your clothes?
You? Again?
Oh, hello, Ella.
I thought I told you to stay out of this part of the house. And what are you doing around here at this time of night?
Nothing, honey.
Did you come in through the back entrance?
Sure, I guess so.
I did tell you to stay out of this part of the house. And besides, isn't the time to come calling on a girl?
Yeah, what makes you think I'm calling on you?
Well, that's all you've been doing since I came here to work.
Don't I work around here too?
Not at night you don't. If Mrs. Harwood wasn't sick, I'd report you.
Mrs. Howard, sick?
Yeah.
What's the matter with the old hen?
Benny!
Well,
Strange things have been going on around here, and I don't like it.
I told you this was a dangerous place, didn't I?
A girl showed up this evening who said she was Vicky Wayne, but she wasn't.
What do you mean?
Well, Mrs. Harwood's guests played this game called murder. They turned out all the lights. And then this girl, claiming to be Vicky Wayne, just disappeared. And it wasn't 5 minutes later until the real Vicky Wayne just walked on the scene.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny.
It isn't funny if you ask me, but that's not all.
Oh?
The lights went out again, but no one was near that switch. And then, while everything was dark, a voice told Mrs. Harwood not to sell the mansion.
A voice?
A man's voice. And he said he was Albert Stillwell.
I'm not surprised. I warned you about working here, Ella.
Oh, it sort of got on my nerves just thinking about it.
So you ready to give up your job and marry me?
No, I'm not. I was cut out to be a career girl, and I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah, you're murdered by a ghost, I suppose.
Benny, I don't believe in ghosts.
Oh, you're a fine one. I don't even know why I bought a gun to protect you.
I don't need no protecting.
Oh, yeah, you'll be running to me to have me save you before this thing is over.
I wouldn't run to you if you were the last man on earth.
You make me so mad.
Well, isn't that a shame?
Oh, I don't know if I even want to marry you.
It's because I'm a lady. And no lady ever looked twice at you before.
Oh, is that so? Is that so? Will you listen to me, Ella Tucker? I know a thing or two.
Yeah, well, if you do, you sure keep it hid well.
You make me so mad.
Oh, Mr. Parker.
Excuse me.
This is Mr. King. Benny King.
How you doing?
Hello, you're not one of Mrs. Harwood's guests.
No. Benny is a friend of mine. Or was. He's just leaving, Mr. Parker. Come along, Benjamin.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Parker.
Come here, Benjamin. Come on.
What do you mean by what?
Good evening.
Miss Wayne, I didn't know you were still up.
Mr. and Mrs. Bates wanted me to play a game of bridge with them, but I've changed my mind.
It is rather late, isn't it?
Yes. Good night.
But not too late for a little talk, is it?
Talk?
Just a few questions. I'm certain you won't mind.
What question?
Miss Wayne, why are you here?
What do you mean?
You're not interested in buying this estate, are you?
No. But I refuse to tell you anything else.
Just one more question. Nothing personal, I assure you.
Yes.
Do you know anyone by the name of Helen Freeland?
Helen Freeland? What about her?
Is she a friend of yours?
No, she's my father's secretary.
Indeed.
Why did you ask? Do you know something about her? Mr. Parker.
Yes, I know something about her.
What are you trying to tell me?
I'm not trying to tell you anything.
But I have a right to know.
Oh, there you are, Miss Wayne.
And Mr. Parker, too. Good. Now we have that bridge game.
I don't care to play.
Oh, but the four of us...
I'm sorry, Mrs. Bates. I'll see you in the morning, Mr. Parker. We haven't finished our conversation, you know. Good night.
Miss Wayne appears quite perturbed.
And I did so want to game.
Well, it is rather late.
Yes, time we were getting to bed.
Exactly.
Any trace of the young woman who disappeared?
Why, no.
Have you discovered where that voice came from, Mr. Parker?
Not yet.
That's rather upset for Mrs. Harwood.
It upset us all.
Yes, it did.
Doris says her mother is feeling better, although she hasn't left her room.
We must be getting upstairs, Susan. Are you coming, Mr. Parker?
Not just yet.
But it is late, you know.
I'll be up shortly.
Oh, Agnes, my dear.
Mrs. Harwood, it's good to see you up again.
It's time I was up.
Oh, well, perhaps you would care to play a game of bridge.
Oh, I would not.
I don't blame you, my dear lady. Come on, Susan.
Well, good night, Agnes.
Good night.
Mrs. Harwood, you shouldn't be down here.
Are you trying to get rid of me?
Certainly not. I was on...
Yes, you are. You thought you could scare me to death, but it didn't work. And for your information, I faint easier than I die. You staged that little game of murder for my benefit, didn't you? Thought you could frighten me with Uncle Albert's voice in the dark. Well, that wasn't Albert's voice.
No?
No. And I don't believe in ghosts either, so just pack your little bags and get on out of here.
Mrs. Harwood, you don't understand.
I understand that you're in love with my daughter, and you'd be delighted to have me out of the way. Now, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't, I assure you. But I'm beginning to think that someone in this house has that in mind.
What?
I don't think you're at all safe in this house.
Oh, I was perfectly safe until you arrived, Neil Parker. Oh, why does Doris have to fall in love with a man who writes detective stories?
Now see here, I'm not as bad as all that.
Oh, yes, you are. I read one of your stories once.
Really?
Only once, mind you. And the next morning, I was positively ill. Oh. Doris tried to make me think it was that crab meat salad and ice cream I'd eaten the night before. But I knew better. Why should a little crab meat salad and ice cream upset me? It was that story of yours. Oh, full of cries in the dark and kidnappings on every other place. Oh, it was
Mrs. Harwood, sit down.
You can't tell me what to do.
I said sit down.
Well, you're...
Sit down. That's better.
Young man, what makes you think you can dictate to me?
For the present, I'm taking charge around here.
Oh, yes. That's a fine thing for a guest to say, and an uninvited guest at that.
I don't think you realize the seriousness of the situation.
Are you trying to threaten me? I may be a weak, defenseless woman, but I still have my power of speech.
Yes, Mrs. Harwood, you do. And I want you to keep it. That is why I must ask you a question.
And the answer is no. I simply refuse to have you for a son-in-law. Why, I have Doris married the police force.
This has nothing to do with Doris and me.
Well?
Why did you and your uncle quarrel?
Quarrel? Who told you that?
Doris told me.
Oh, yes, she would. And I suppose she told you that I had the measles when I was 6, and that I've been arrested twice for exceeding the speed limit.
I don't think that information is important at the moment.
Well, what could be important about a little quarrel with Uncle Albert?
Did someone try to impersonate him tonight?
Neil, you mean that wasn't you?
On my word of honor, it wasn't, and that is why I must have all the information possible.
Oh, but what does Uncle Albert's quarrel have to do with anything?
He was always good to you?
Oh, yes. When my parents died, he took me in, he treated me like his very own daughter. And then he began to plan my future, and I rebelled. Even as a child, I resented people telling me what to do.
Undoubtedly, Mrs. Harwood.
He wanted me to teach school. Can you imagine that?
Frankly, no.
He wanted me to teach English. I thought that it was silly. Everyone knows English anyway. And then he wanted me to read Dickens.
Indeed.
Yes, he bought me that complete set of Dickens works.
Those?
Yes.
And did you read them?
Oh, I should say not. I told Uncle Albert I was not the bookworm type. Oh, we had some bitter words, but he simply refused to realize I was the butterfly type.
No, I don't suppose he did.
And so I just packed my little bags and I floated right up to the West Coast where I didn't have to read a thing.
Did you ever see him alive again?
No. I'm afraid Uncle Albert never quite got over it. I wrote him and told him I caught a man, but he didn't answer me. But I don't know why I'm telling you all this.
I'm glad you did.
I had made up my mind, Neil, that I wouldn't even speak to you. But then I get started. I just can't seem to stop. Oh, it's most annoying at times.
Yes. Yes, it is.
What's in my quarrel? Wow, how'd you do that? Ghastly voice in the dark.
Well, I don't know, of course, but before the weekend is over, perhaps we'll know more.
Oh, and why do you say that?
Supposing you go to your room now, Mrs. Harwood.
Oh, no, no. I'm not at all sleepy.
Well, you've had something of a shock. You need plenty of rest.
Oh, no, I don't feel like resting.
You will when you get to your room.
Oh, don't think you can drug me, young man.
Certainly not. I was only considering your safety.
Well, that's exactly what I'm considering. And quite frankly, I'd feel safer if you were in China and I was on a desert island.
Sort of look like Benny's cousin Benny. That's really ugly, bless your heart.
Books on the floor.
What are you doing?
Oh, it's you.
Are you interested in old books?
No, but apparently someone is.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. I found several books lying on the floor.
Then you've been out of the room?
Yes.
Where were you?
With your mother.
You mean she asked to see you?
Not exactly, but we did have an interesting little talk here in the library.
Mother downstairs?
I've just returned from taking her to her room.
Well, what did she tell you?
Nothing that sheds any light on the situation. At least not for the moment.
Well, I can imagine it was an unpleasant interview.
Not exactly. Although she does think I'm responsible for that voice, and that I'm trying to do away with it.
Mother's always been certain you would.
And what are you doing?
It's 10:30. I'm waiting for Helen Freeland.
But darling, she wants to talk to me alone.
She's going to talk to both of us. It might be a trick, Neil.
Which is exactly why you shouldn't be involved.
I'm not going to leave you here alone.
What loyalty. The sweetest girl in the world insists on protecting the man she loves.
This is no time for joking.
I realize that. Perhaps even better than you. Which is why you really shouldn't be here.
But you know nothing about that girl. Supposing she's a criminal.
She isn't, I assure you.
And what makes you so certain?
I spoke with Vicki Wayne.
And what does Vicki Wayne have to do with this?
Sweetheart, before this is all straightened up, I think we'll find that several people are involved.
Neil Parker, you know more than you've told me.
I only suspect more, that's all, darling. Come in.
Miss Freeland.
Yes, Helen Freeland. I had expected to speak with you alone, Mr. Parker.
I'm sorry, but I insist on staying.
Perhaps it's better this way.
Will you sit down?
No, thank you.
So you wrote me that note?
Yes.
You have much to explain, Miss Freeland. Where have you been since you disappeared?
I've been hiding here in the house.
It must have been a shock to you when the real Miss Wayne arrived.
Yes. Hadn't expected that.
But you disappeared before she showed up.
That was because of a mistake.
A mistake?
And the added fact that Mr. Emerson knew that I wasn't Vicki Wayne. But that's not what I want to tell you.
You want to tell us that you are the secretary to Vicki Wayne's father.
Neil? How did you know?
Miss Wayne told me.
Did you tell her I was here?
No.
Miss Wayne was in her father's office. one day last week. She said that she'd been invited here but expected to decline the invitation. She said she never met either you or your mother, Miss Harwood.
So you decided to take her place?
Yes, but I didn't plan on Carl Emerson being here.
He is a friend of yours?
Not exactly, but I was relieved when you suggested the game of murder.
So you can make your escape?
No, that's the last thing I wanted to do.
But that doesn't make sense.
Just a minute, Doris. Let Miss Freeland explain.
After the lights went out, someone seized me in the dark.
Who?
I promised not to tell. It was an error, but a fortunate one for me.
Miss Freeland, why are you here?
To keep your mother from selling this estate, as I explained in my letter to you.
Letter to me? You mean the one which came by special delivery tonight?
So you wrote that?
But why did you sign Albert Stillwell's name to it?
I'm looking after the late Mr. Stillwell's interests, as I promised him I would.
What's that?
For the last 6 years, right up until the day of Albert Stillwell's death, I was his private secretary.
What?
Miss Freeland?
He was a remarkable man, Miss Harwood. It's a pity you couldn't have known him. He treated me like I was a member of his own family. About a month before he died, I think even then he knew the end was near, he gave me a remarkably fine diamond.
But Uncle Albert wasn't a wealthy man. After his estate was settled, only this house is left.
And he wanted your mother to keep it. He said to me, I have but one request to make of you. If my niece attempts to sell this mansion, I want you to make sure she is first made a discovery.
Discovery? I don't understand.
Neither do I. But I promised to look after this place. Albert Stillwell was good to me, and this was the least that I could do for him.
I see.
When Miss Wayne said that your mother was anxious to sell this place, I felt like I must somehow contact you. So I wrote that letter, and I signed Albert Stillwell's name to it. Then when Miss Wayne said that she was refusing the weekend invitation, I decided to come in her place.
I think I'm beginning to understand.
I learned from Miss Wayne that your mother was easily upset, so that's why I hesitated to speak with her.
Are you certain Albert Stillwell told you nothing else?
Nothing. Nothing at all. That's why it all sounds so fantastic.
Where have you been since we played the game?
I shan't explain that right now.
Then you're not telling us everything.
I'm telling you everything that concerns you and your mother.
After you disappeared, a voice somewhere in this room, a man's voice, warned Mother about selling the mansion. Did you know about that?
I refuse to answer.
Then I refuse to accept anything that you said.
Miss Harwood, you must believe me. I was Albert Stillwell's secretary, and I promised him I'd keep your mother from selling this estate.
You said someone seized you in the darkness by mistake. I demand to know who it was and where you've been.
Very well. I suppose I shall have to tell you.
The lights!
Doris, where are you?
Here. Miss Freeland, are you...
Miss Freeland!
The voice again?
Who is that speaking?
Oh, Neil.
Miss Freeland, where are you?
Neil. By the door. Someone is there.
If anybody moves, I'll...
Neil.
I've got him. Doris, what did you do?
I hit him with the bookend.
Good.
It's Mr. Emerson. Where's Helen Freeland?
Yes, it's Carl Emerson.
Oh, Neil, do people die from bookends?
here. Not real fast. You have about 2 minutes to get to your seat. And if you don't hurry and get back to your seat, then you might be the next one.
Only I know it, Gene. It was been in the library. Professor Hill.
I'm taking charge around here.
this again. The Vaughn Rapid Move Realty Company refuses to deal with ghosts.
Well, I have been pushed around and ignored like oysters dressed in a bargain basement, and I've had enough of it. Why, everyone has more knowledge than I do, and I'm not going to stand for it another minute.
But I don't know anything. I never did.
Yeah, and I know even less than he does. Well, let the police decide that. And I, for one, am going to enjoy watching them arrest the guilty party.
But you can't arrest spooks. It's not legal.
Mr. Parker is no ghost. Mr. Parker? He isn't guilty as a cat perched on the edge of an empty fishbowl. And he may not be the only one.
Oh, but Mrs. Harwood, Mr. Parker's a nice guy. He writes detective stories.
Then he can rise from behind bars.
Good morning.
Oh, Miss Wayne, you're hurry, aren't you?
Yes, I'm sorry, but I must leave at once.
And what gave you that idea?
I just remembered I have an appointment in the city this morning.
Oh, then consider it canceled. I want everyone to stay here.
But Mrs. Harwood.
I'm going to have these strange goings-on investigated, and I want everyone here.
I can't blame you, of course, but I got...
And if anyone attempts to leave, I shall have them arrested for trespassing.
Oh, very well. I suppose I'll have to stay.
Yes, you certainly will. Now, Ella, prepare breakfast at once, and when the rest of the guests are downstairs, I'll notify the authorities.
Yes, Mrs. Harwood.
Come on, Mr. Vaughn. We might as well wait in the drawing room.
I'd rather go home. I always was a homebody.
You'll not step one foot off this place, Mr. Vaughn.
My courage is low. My heart is torn. I ask myself, why was I born?
I've wondered that myself, Mr. Vaughn.
Oh, Mother, I've been looking for you.
Oh, I've been right here for days.
Are the others down yet?
Well, some of them are down, and they'd like to be out. And you're responsible for all this, Doris Harwood.
And what makes you say that?
Well, if you weren't in love with that Neil Parker, he wouldn't be here. And if he weren't here, it would be nice and peaceful and quiet.
Oh, Mother, you don't honestly believe he is responsible?
Oh, I certainly do. And when the police arrive, they'll prove it.
You haven't notified the police.
Well, not yet. But as soon as everyone is downstairs, I'm going to.
You can't do that.
Why, this is my house, isn't it?
Well, yes, but
Well, then tell me. I want to see him at once.
he isn't here.
What?
He left early this morning.
That proves he's guilty beyond a doubt. I knew it from the first. Why, trying to frighten me, is he? His one ambition is to marry you and then talk of his late mother-in-law. Well, if he doesn't arrive soon, I'm going to put the police on his trail.
Hello.
Oh, no! Mr. Emerson! Oh, what is the matter with you, Mr. Emerson? Oh,
Hello, Doris.
oh, goodness. Are you injured, Mr. Emerson?
Slightly.
Oh, did someone hit you? Why, you were all right last night, Mr. Emerson.
I don't seem to remember much.
Well, I do.
Doris, what are you saying? Mr. Emerson, I demand to know what is going on around here.
I believe your daughter is more well informed than I am.
Why, that's sensitive. Everyone has more knowledge than I do. Well, I'm calling the police.
No, Mrs. Harwood, you're not.
Neil, why, it's about time you showed up, you animated torture chamber.
Hello, Emerson. Glad to see you're up.
It's a miracle I'm still alive.
Oh, Neil, where have you been?
Supposing we say I've been admiring your garden.
when I had the Scarlet Garden. And what about Mr. Emerson? Did you try to murder him too?
No, Mrs. Harwood, I didn't.
Why? How come? Oh, I give up. Everyone has more knowledge than I do, and no one pays one bit of attention to me. And Max will be that stupid statue.
Statue gets a lot of attention.
Well, Carl,
Were you the one that hit me last night?
I was, but evidently not quite hard enough.
Just a minute, Doris.
What did you do with Helen Freeland?
I don't know anything about her.
Oh, a likely story. The lights went out. Someone seized her, and we found you in the room.
Found me, you practically murdered me.
Doris and I dragged you upstairs, and quite a task it was, Emerson. I patched up your head, put you to bed, and hoped that by morning you would be dead. I'm beginning to sound like Mr. Bond.
Well, it's a wonder someone didn't hear us.
When I woke up this morning, I couldn't figure out what had happened. Then I began to remember.
Well, I was terribly worried about you, Carl. I've never before hit a man with a bookend.
I hate to make you angry near a brickyard.
I'm still angry. What were you doing down here?
What were you doing?
Now hold everything.
You'd better explain, Mr. Emerson.
What would you do if I told you someone else was in this room at the same time?
I wouldn't believe you. Neil, have you found any trace of Miss Freeland?
No. If we could only find her.
Well, why don't you ask Carl?
He doesn't know anything about her, Doris.
Glad somebody believes me.
Oh, Carl, what happened to you?
I'm all right, Vicky.
Darling, but you're hurt. Oh.
Oh, Vicky. Now, darling.
Well, was someone kind to explain?
An excellent idea.
I guess we do have plenty of explaining to do, Vicky.
You said it.
I was certain you two were in love and that you'd had a quarrel.
How did you know?
Your actions toward each other, they were more revealing than words.
Excuse me. Vicky and I met at college. And it was love at first sight, I guess. Vicky didn't have much money, and I didn't either.
I was afraid to tell you the truth, Carl. I didn't want to lose you.
I'd always dreamed of someday owning a summer hotel. Maybe that sounds like a funny ambition, but Vicky seems to like the idea. At least she made me think she did.
I was truthful about that, Carl.
When I discovered she was the daughter of wealthy parents, I figured she'd been playing me for a fool, listening to my crazy plans and laughing at me behind my back.
No, Carl, I didn't laugh.
Anyway, I walked out on her. I knew if I was ever to make Vicky respect me, I'd have to do something better than on the summer hotel. So I came to the city and got a job selling stocks and bonds.
And you didn't even let me know you were living here.
I wanted to be a big business success before I saw you again, Vicky. So when I met Mrs. Harwood, I did everything possible to gain her confidence in me. And I was hoping maybe she'd invest some of her money in the bonds I've been filling. That's why I accepted your weekend invitation here.
But Carl, Mother hasn't any money. After Uncle Albert died, only this house was left.
I began to suspect the truth last night. Ugh, you haven't exactly living like millionaires, you know.
And what about you, Miss Wayne?
Well, there isn't much more to say, except that I was terribly crushed when Carl left me. I didn't even know where he had gone. I had intended to refuse Mrs. Harwood's invitation until I picked up the paper yesterday morning. In the chit-chat column, I read that Carl Emerson would be out here too. I had to see him, so I changed my plans at the last moment. Oh, Carl, don't you realize I've always loved you?
I couldn't be certain, Vicky. After all, how could a wealthy girl love a punk who dreamed of owning a summer hotel? The stock and bond business is more in line with...
Stocks and bonds? What do I care about such things?
You mean you really like my crazy
I
plans?
love them, and you're going to check that job of yours first thing Monday morning. We're going into the summer hotel business, you and I.
about your parents?
Are you marrying my parents or me?
I haven't much money.
Well, we'll start with a 3-room shack. We'll live in one room and rent the other.
And that seems to be that.
Well, I hate to interrupt this little reunion, Carl, but I'd still like to know what you were doing here in the library last night.
When you tried to murder me?
Miss Harwood, did you strike Carl?
In the dark, with the book in. I thought you were kidnapping Helen Freeland, and I didn't.
Miss Wayne, Helen Freeland is the girl who impersonated you.
Why, she's my father's secretary.
So you said.
Of course. I told her the day before yesterday that I wasn't coming out here. Why, that little cat? What does she mean by impersonating
You
me?
had a perfectly excellent reason for showing up. You mustn't hold it against her.
She was in this room with Doris and Mr. Parker last night. I was in the hall. The lights went out. Someone seized Miss Freeland and Doris thought I was guilty.
Well, you'd better explain what you were doing in the dark.
I had a hunch about something.
Supposing you tell us, Emerson.
It had to do with that voice.
Good morning.
Oh, we're not late for breakfast, are we?
No, Mrs. Bates.
Any trace of the young lady who posed as Miss Wayne?
No, not yet.
Strange how she disappeared while we were playing that game last night.
Oh, but after that,
What did you say, Miss Harwood?
oh, nothing.
Doubtless she ran away after she discovered the real Miss Wayne had arrived.
So you don't think she'll show up again?
I rather doubt it.
I heard that voice last night after I got to bed.
Yes, I can understand that.
Hasn't anyone discovered what it is?
No, not yet.
This has been such a strain on poor Agnes.
How is your mother this morning, Doris?
Oh, better, thank you.
And as lively as ever, I might add.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. What a frightful weekend this is. Oh, but I don't mean that as a criticism of your hospitality, my dear.
I understand, Mrs. Bates.
I think it's been a wonderful weekend.
So do I.
I can't imagine why anyone would say that.
Perhaps you wouldn't, Mrs. Bates, but, well, with Vicky and me, it's different.
Has something happened that we don't know about?
I think you'd be amazed at what I do know, Mr. Bates.
Indeed. How interesting.
Mr. Emerson, what's the matter with your head?
Oh, just a slight accident.
And it wasn't something he ate.
I'm quite all right.
He might have been killed.
Everything's fine now.
Well, do give us the details, Mr. Emerson.
By all means.
I believe someone else could give a more vivid account than I.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Vaughn. Hello.
Did you sleep well last night?
I doubt if I'll ever sleep again. I want to go home.
Come, Mr. Vaughn, that's no way to talk.
Don't you want to go home?
On the contrary, I'm most anxious to stay.
John said that nothing could
Susan.
make him leave now. I'm sorry, John.
Just the same, I want to go home. Some men to distant countries roam, but Vaughn would rather stay at home.
Oh, you'll be all right, Mr. Vaughn.
Well, your mother threatened to call the police.
The police?
She won't do that unless it becomes necessary.
Unless it's necessary.
She wants to find out what's going on around here. I only want to find out how to leave.
I see no reason to call in the police.
I'm going to go upstairs and chat with Agnes. She mustn't be left alone this way.
Okay, with you, Susan, dear.
Mother isn't upstairs.
No?
Oh, dear, she hasn't disappeared, has she, like Helen Freeland?
How did you know that was her name?
Why? Oh, dear.
I spoke with her last night after we played the game of murder, but she disappeared again. And the second time against her will.
Why didn't somebody explain these things?
That's distressing. You should have told us before, Mr. Parker.
Was that necessary, Mr. Bates? Someone in this room knows where she is.
It's all right, Mr. Parker. I'm safe.
That was Helen Freeland.
Yes.
But where is she?
My hunch was correct.
What hunch?
Miss Freeland! Miss Freeland, where are you? Miss Freeland!
I think I know.
Neil! What are you doing, Neil?
Miss Freeland!
What's the matter?
Quiet!
I won't be
I
quiet!
want to go home.
Didn't Helen
Yes, it's a stovepipe hole into the chimney.
Then that must be where the voices came from.
You mean somebody's been talking up my chimney?
Exactly, in the basement.
Emerson, you're a smart lad.
Why didn't somebody discover this before? I have sinus cavities. I can't take these shocks. I got to thinking there might be a hole somewhere here in these walls. That's why I slipped down here last night. I got to searching behind these books and I heard a noise in the other room.
But we must find Helen Freeland.
Yes, before she escapes.
She won't escape.
How do you know?
Neil,
What's the matter?
Mr. and Mrs. Bates, they're not here.
Oh, I still wish I wasn't.
It's all right. Let them go.
But they were in this room just a few moments ago.
Did you see them leave?
No, I was watching Carl.
Oh, we all were. Neil, suppose we may get away.
Now, wait a minute. Everybody talk slower. I can't follow you.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, Benny! Mr. King, what are you doing up here? You knew very well I had company.
No, I told Benny time and again he was to stay in the basement, ma'am.
In the basement?
Oh, that is most embarrassing. Mr. King works for me. Oh, dear.
So you're the one, Mr. King.
Yep, I'm the voice. Albert Stillwell.
Benny, you mean that voice was yours?
Sure. I discovered that old chimney while I was here working on the house last week. It hasn't been used in years. It was even connected with the heating system. I could talk into it through a hole in the basement, and you could hear my voice as plain as day.
I'll say we could.
Oh, Mr. King, what a disgusting trick to play. I'm going to fire you.
Oh, Benny, why did you do it?
Well, help me, Benny. I wanted to scare you, Ella.
Scare me.
Yeah, I wanted you to think this house was haunted. Then I figured you'd be willing to chuck your job and marry me.
Why, Benny King?
So you turned out the lights?
Yeah, from the central switch down the basement. Sort of made my voice sound spookier.
Oh, good heavens.
I suspected this from the first.
Yes, you certainly acted like.
But Benny, was Helen Freeland down there with you?
Yeah, she sort of upset my plans.
Is she in the basement now?
She'll be up in a minute. You see, when these guys were playing that game last night, I was in the kitchen waiting to see Ella. And when you turned out the lights, I figured that's a good time to scare that girlfriend of mine.
Benny King, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
So he slips in here and grabs the female. Only I grabbed the wrong one.
So you seized Helen Freeland.
When I discovered my mistake, imagine my embarrassment. But I didn't want her spilling the beans, so I forced her down the basement. And when I explained things to her, she didn't want to leave. In fact, she even gave me the idea of using Albert Stillwell's name.
Benny King, the idea? You carrying on with another woman? I bet you knew it wasn't me from the first. Oh!
Ella, honey, I did not.
You did too! My love doesn't mean a thing to you! Oh! You didn't even want to marry me!
Ella, listen to me.
Oh, never listen to another man!
Good morning. Well, Miss Freeland, so you've been hiding in my basement, have you?
I owe you an explanation, Miss Wayne.
You owe everyone an explanation.
Mrs. Harwood, this is Helen Freeland.
And you told me you were Vicky Wayne.
She's my father's secretary.
And for many years, Mrs. Harwood, she was Albert Stillwell's secretary.
What?
Mr. Parker, how do you know?
Miss Freeland had a talk with Doris and me last night.
He's quite right, Miss Wayne. We met right here in the library. I had been hiding in the basement with Mr. King.
Yes, Benny told me.
It was Mr. King who turned out the lights while I was in here with you and Miss Harwood. He was afraid I was going to explain about his activities. Of course, he could hear us through the chimney.
That's just what I suspected.
Someone seized me and thrust a note in my hand.
And all this time, I was upstairs. Now, doesn't anyone realize I own this place?
I had this all worked out from the first. I suppose that's why you wanted to go home, Mr. Vaughn.
The note warned me that I must leave at once. Instead, I went back down to the basement.
Mr. King had left by then, so I remained there alone all night.
Did you hear that, Ella?
Who threatened you?
Miss Freeland, why did you come here?
I promised Albert Stillwell that I would keep Mrs. Harwood from selling this mansion until she discovered something.
Discovered something? Well, what is it?
I don't know.
I do.
Neil,
John Bates wrote you that note, Miss Freeland.
Are you certain?
Bates?
Yes, you pulled a button from his coat sleeve last night. I found it later on the floor of the dining room.
But how do you know it belonged to him?
It was missing from his suit this morning.
but Neil, I thought you weren't here.
John Bates was up and dressed before I left.
That proved I wasn't guilty, didn't it?
Yes, and it also proved that John Bates knew something about this house and wanted Miss Freeland out of the way.
That's just the way I had it worked out. Oh, be quiet, Mr. Vaughn.
Last night, Susan Bates told me that her husband had worked for the Avenue Jewelry Shop in the city. And Miss Freeland said that Albert Stillwell had once given her an expensive diamond.
Diamond?
Those two facts gave me an idea. So this morning, I drove into the city and stopped at that jewelry shop. It was there that I confirmed my suspicions.
But Neil, I still don't understand.
Susan Bates was right. Her husband had worked for the jewelry shop. And during that time, the company had sold Albert Stillwell many valuable diamonds.
Oh, Neil!
Evidently, Bates guessed you knew nothing about it, Mrs. Harwood. And he must have thought that Albert Stillwell had hid those diamonds. Probably somewhere in this house.
Oh, good heavens!
Then that's what Mr. Stillwell meant when he said you were to sell the mansion, Mrs. Harwood. Why, Mr. Bates knew more about it than I did.
And he undoubtedly overheard your conversation with Doris and me last night. So he wrote that note and waited down here in the darkness for an opportunity to give it to you.
And then, when Benny turned out the light...
Exactly.
But supposing Mr. Bates discovered the diamonds, would he let him get away?
No, he didn't. He said this morning he was anxious to remain over the weekend. He knew that with Miss Freeland out of the way, he'd have plenty of time to look around. And then he heard her voice.
And then he'd be hasty to retreat.
Exactly.
Oh, you mean there's diamonds hidden somewhere in this house?
I have every reason to believe it.
Imagine diamonds.
No wonder Mr. Bates wanted to buy this place.
Oh, but where are the diamonds? Everybody look. We'll play a little game.
Who never
But why didn't Albert leave those diamonds to Mother publicly instead of hiding them here?
Oh, that's Albert for you. Always wanting to be a gift. Different. The statue.
Just a minute, Mrs. Harwood.
Yes?
I was thinking, what did you say you and your uncle quarreled about?
Oh, he wanted me to teach school, and he wanted me to read Dickens.
Dickens. Yes, perhaps that's the key.
Neil, what are you doing?
I'm reading Dickens.
Oh, goodness. No one can read that fast.
Neil, do you think you can't hide diamonds in books?
Diamonds are not easy pickings unless you want to go to the Dickens.
Oh, very funny, Mr. Vaughn. There's something inside.
Here they are.
Diamonds.
A compartment filled with them.
There's dozens of them.
Evidently, Albert Stillwell wanted you to read Dickens, Mrs. Harwood. He knew if you ever did, you'd find those diamonds.
Oh, there's dozens and dozens.
That was one of the books I threw on the floor last night. Imagine me kicking around a fortune.
Harwood, it happened.
Oh, it certainly did.
I mean, I'm gonna have a new career.
Alice may be the happiest man in the world.
Oh, Mr. Columbus made me the happiest man in the world, too.
We're gonna be married tomorrow.
I sure have gained a jewel, Mrs. Harwood.
That's nothing. I've gained dozens of them.
Harwood, I hope you're not gonna be too disappointed that I'm leaving.
Disappointed? I've never been so elated in my life.
Well, Mother's speaking of something else, Ella. She's just had a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, so did I. I never thought I'd get out after what happened.
Yeah, but if I catch you kidnapping females again, the big elk, I'm gonna have to tear you to pieces! Come on, Ducky.
Yes, Mommy.
I guess we know who'll wear the pants in that family.
I heard that, Parker.
Well, I'm glad I didn't break up that romance. I'm afraid I've put you all through a frightful weekend. Will you forgive me, Miss Wayne?
Of course I will. I can hardly wait to tell Father what you've done. He'll be proud to have such a loyal secretary.
But what will he think of his son-in-law?
What do we care? We'll have a summer hotel, won't we?
You mean you and Mr. Everson?
As soon as I can get the marriage license.
Marriage, who said that?
I did. Be my wife.
Is that what my hotel estate does to people?
And Carl's giving up the old stock and bond business Monday.
Oh, well, you can't do that.
Why not?
Now, you've got to change these diamonds in the bonds for me.
You mean it?
Well, you think I want to sit and gaze at them the rest of my life?
Of course, you must handle this for Mother Carl. She'll expect you to market the diamonds and invest the money for her.
With the commission I make from this sale, I can make a down payment on a swanky hotel. And this mansion is just the place for you, Mr. Everson.
Of course Carl will buy this estate. Your commission should be just enough for the down payment.
That's wonderful.
Thank goodness that sells.
I'll handle all the details. For business deals and marriage hopes, leave it to Vaughn. He knows the ropes. I've already got one.
I can't believe it! I sold this thing and gained a fortune besides. Well, it's just like eating your cake and then eating it again and again.
Remember, Mother, you have Neil to thank for this. He solved the mystery.
Oh, yeah, I guess he did. Well, maybe we better keep it.
Mother, do you mean it?
On one condition, Neil.
Oh, no.
And what is that?
In your next murder story, I speak to be the heroine.
It's a deal.